Starting today, we would see the importance of each and every visual in Power BI. So, our primary aim for getting started with Power BI is to get understanding of each and every visual. How visual is important, what kind of information can be used in each of the visual, which visual is best fit for which kind of data which we have. So that is the first aim for our Power BI sessions. We would be learning, we would be going through each and every visual where is it best fit, what kind of data can be used, and then we would be jumping to somewhere in between. We would be jumping to the Power Query concepts also. Somewhere in between, we would be jumping to the tax cut related concepts also. But first would be our visuals, understanding of visuals, and then how formatting plays an important role. So we would be discussing all this stuff along with visuals, interactivity also, the explanation of visuals as well. Mm, just to get started with, one important thing which I wanted to also highlight is, see, one question which I specifically got yesterday, one of the individual, now individual in the sense, this we got while getting any um, admission inquiries. If a individual person is trying to join, if a person wants to join this session or join this course, what important thing or what important aspect, we kind of get multiple questions there. Now, one question is, why not only Power BI? I mean, we can only learn Power BI and some ETL tool, assuming some ETL tool. Now, ETL tool also, okay, Power Query itself is a component which is available in Power BI. Why not why to learn all other aspects, the Azure cloud aspects? Our primary aim would be on ADF only as an ETL tool and some other services as well. But why not only Power BI? He was least concerned about ETL, but why only Power BI jobs are not available in the market? See, I would always say only Power BI jobs are also available. I'm not saying this is not feasible. Only Power BI jobs are also available. There is still a 30% market chance where you will only get Power BI related calls. They will never expect you to learn any other external tool, neither any cloud service. But one thing which I specifically wanted to highlight is, let's take an example of your day-to-day life only, our mobiles. I'm not sure how many of you are using these mobiles nowadays, Nokia smartphones. Everyone is using smartphones nowadays, but yeah, accepted the amount of or the number of smartphones which Nokia produces is somewhere as comparatively which you compare with your feature phones, the Nokia old feature phones, the market is nowhere for Nokia. If you compare any other device, now coming back to the explanation again, see, I don't think anyone would use Nokia smartphone as of now. Okay, if there are people using it, the smartphones are not that upgraded. If you compare this Nokia phones, these phones are not upgraded with respect to any other competitor. And we are only discussing about Android, not about iOS, not about your iPhones. If you check with Android, in the year 2006 or 7, Nokia was the first company to sign with Android. There was a company alliance, there was the Android alliance, and Nokia was the first smartphone to make a tie-up with Android, the Google, the Android operating system. And it was one of the first phones to use Android operating system in their smartphones. Probably not, I mean, in 2006 or 7, there wasn't any specific smartphone kind of concept, but still they have upgraded themselves to Android. And what Nokia did is, or what Nokia thought is, we are coming up with this Android operating system. We are with the market. We are with the pace of market. We would be still market leader. If you go back to 2006 and 7, Nokia was market leader. Until 2010 or 11, Nokia was a market leader, after which other companies like Samsung, your Apple, but anyways, we are discussing about Android, your Xiaomi. So all these phones, Redmi or Xiaomi, all these phones came into the market. But specifically, if you see, when Nokia signed a pact with Google with Android, they thought that they would be the market leader because they are connecting or they are following the market trend. They are utilizing the best operating system which they had in the market. And still, if you see, Android is the market leader. Now, that is what I'm trying to say. If you learn any specific tool, just compare yourself with Nokia. Nokia was, I mean, everything was on track. Nothing was against Nokia. But what Nokia did is they thought that they would be leader. They are using the best operating system in the current market. They never focused on their device. They thought their device is good. If you have hard and rigid device, they had a hard and rigid device. Now, hard and rigid means their devices were so hard that if you hit Nokia phone on the I mean on the floor also, it used to run properly. It doesn't used to break. But if you compare the other phones, they were very delicate. But still, they have upgraded their phones with a better camera, there with a better processing systems, with a better gaming or other experiences. But Nokia, what they thought is with a good operating system and with good hard and rigid body, they can be a market leader, which they miserably failed. Which they miserably failed. That is where they have went wrong. If you come up, if you're if you want to be in the market, the first and important thing is what market is about. You need to get this current scenario, what market is about, what is going in the current market. Understand the current market, catch up the pace. I'm not saying that you should know each and every aspect which is being thought in the market, each and every component which is being kept or thought in the market. The first and important thing is you need to catch up the pace. Okay, if you're lagging behind also, still if you're lagging behind, you have a good opportunity. Learn each and every tool individually so as to get into this market easily. Now, only Power BI, if you would have gone -5 or 6 years back, only Power BI would have fetched you a good job, or even -4 years back also, 2020 until 2020 or 2021, not completely 21, until 2020, even Power BI would have given you a straightforward job without any additional tool or without any additional information, or neither any ETL tool, neither any cloud service. But starting from 2021, what organizations did is, I mean, everyone was working remotely. So what every organization expected, you should also know an additional component called as cloud. Now, apart, if you know the cloud, you should also know some services like ADF. You should also know some services like Synapse. So I'm specifically focusing on Azure. If you compare it with AWS, in AWS also, there are multiple services which are available. You should also come up with that pace of that services. And with the increasing market competition, I mean the market competition, it is very important for us to catch up this pace. Yes, you are learning the correct reporting tool. Now, many people come up with questions that only Power BI, we are learning Power BI since last 2 years, we are learning Power BI since last 6 months, we are not getting any calls. See, only Power BI calls are very restricted. Okay, if you have a prior experience, they would consider that prior experience and you have a better chance. But if you want to enter this market as a new entrant, for that, it is always recommended to have a current market pace. You should always know some additional services like cloud, some ETL services, some ETL tools like ADF. I'm not saying only ADF. If you know basics of Informatica, also, if you know any other ETL tool apart from ADF, that same concepts are applied in ADF. The primary logic behind ADF is same as respect to any other ETL tool. So if you know some ETL tool, you can implement that same logics here in ADF. That same concepts are available in ADF. So in order to enter this market, you should be matching up with the current pace. That is where the importance is. Apart from Power BI, any additional service will definitely be an added advantage. So that is the reason we have developed a course in such a way that all the Microsoft services which are required, which are primarily used for uh, the reporting purpose, primarily used for data analysis purpose in the market, in the projects, that all tools we have clubbed together. And this course is designed in such a way that you will enter this market with all this analysis, with all this services as a good hands-on experience. I mean, I'm not saying you would be, I mean, you can show, if you have any prior experience, you can showcase your 3+ experience with this course. Okay, if there is no prior experience also, as I've said, for a fresher to enter this market, just there is a small gap which you have to make sure I mean, closing that gap. In order to enter market as a fresher, it will be slightly difficult. I'm not saying it is too difficult, but once you enter it, then it is very easy. But for the people who have prior experience, might be any experience. You are working for a government, you're working for non-government organization, you're working as a non-technical field. Wherever you were working, if you have a valid PF account, you can showcase your complete experience as a data analyst experience, because any organization nowadays, anywhere this Power BI is used. So you can showcase your experience with this course, that this is what I was doing in so and so organization. I have developed so and so reports. You can showcase all that experience. Now coming down to our Power BI charts. See, yesterday we might have started with the formatting of visuals. We might have started with the formatting of page. Now we will see the importance of few charts today. Now, what importance of chart means? Let's consider the first row itself. We have bar chart, we have column chart. But in case of bar chart and column chart also, there are three different charts available. If you hover on the first condition, bar chart is somewhere flowing from left to right. Now, if you hover on this is stacked bar chart. The second chart is stacked column chart.
Hi,
Now,
Ritesh. Is the
go
same
ahead.
placed for me or for everybody? It's still in the notepad.
So is
Same.
it? Just a moment. Is it same for everyone, or are you able to see the Power BI?
We are able to see Power BI.
We're
Yes,
able
we
to see Power BI, Ritesh.
Hmm. Okay, for the people who have facing these issues, it might be at your end. I'm not sure. Even Radhika has a question. Radhika, if you're able to hear me, or if you have joined back again, if you're still able to hear,
yeah,
well and good.
Ritesh, I just joined back from mobile.
Okay, sure. Same goes with you, Sneha. If you can go back and see your bandwidth, internal bandwidth, maybe you are screen somewhere.
Okay, sure. I'll disconnect and reconnect back.
Okay. Now we have stacked bar chart, we have stacked column chart. Apart from these two charts, we have still a bar chart available, which is a clustered bar chart. And next to that, there is a clustered column chart. So this is the second component. And third one is 100% stacked bar chart. See, there is a stacked bar chart and there is a stacked 100% stacked bar chart. There is a stacked column chart and 100% stacked column chart. And there are the other two also, clustered bar chart and clustered column chart. Now we would be seeing each and every chart, what is the exact importance and what kind of values you can use in these charts. Let me take a new page. I'll copy the same visual here. See, probably I would not be formatting this page 3. Why? Because we have seen the importance of formatting here. Or else I can take a duplicate of this. If I take a duplicate of this, even this is, there won't be any problem. Let's see. Page 4. Now, let's focus on, I'll remove the other charts, delete it. Now, this is our 100, this is just our normal stacked bar chart. And in this, we have seen two important axes, which is y-axis and x-axis. See, if I take a bar chart, this is our x-axis, which is flowing from left to right, which is sum of sales, and this is our y-axis. So usually in case of bar chart, y-axis should have string values, the categorical values. String means there should be some categorical values. I might have taken category here. That doesn't mean it is a categorical value. But if I take a copy of this also, let me make this chart small. Now let's focus on this value, this specific chart, the second chart. Now I'll open this data set. In case of category, I'll take subcategory. There is a component called a subcategory. So even for subcategory, it is working properly. Even for a subcategory, this component is working properly. Why? Because subcategory is a character value, is a string value. You can see it's a string value. Now, in case of subcategory, in case of y-axis, see if I take some other component, let's take a numerical value here. We have seen category, we have seen subcategory, both are categorical values, both are string values. But if I take something which is postal code, even this is okay. I mean, this is able to create a chart, but we are unable to guess what chart it is trying to create. Postal code is a numerical condition. And if I hover on any specific bar, see, if I'm hovering on this, okay, now I have got some tooltip value. So tooltip is what? If I hover on this, there is some window which is getting opened, which is giving you some highlight that for this postal code, 48,205, usually postal code is not read like this way, 48,205. It is read as 48205. And I guess these postal codes are of US. So that is the reason it's a 5-digit postal code. In case of India, it would have been 6-digit. Now, if you see for this specific postal code, sum of sales is 2,43,018. Okay, this is readable, but this is very, I mean, kind of clustered. The information is not that easy to understand. Yes, it's readable just because of data values, data labels, but the information is not that easy to understand because pin codes can be multiple pin codes. So for each and every pin code, there is certain sum of sales, which is not that understandable. Now, in case of y-axis, if I take one more numerical value, which is discount. Okay, the number of values have reduced because discount values are comparatively low, it seems. If you see for 0.8, what do you mean by 0.8? 0.8 is a number of or the amount of discount being offered. If you take any numerical value in case of y-axis, this chart is not that readable or this chart is not that understandable. But if I take any categorical value, I've taken category, I've taken subcategory, if I take city also, even this is readable. Okay, the number of cities are more. If I scroll down, if you see, there is a scroller available towards right. If I see, if there is a very long scroller, number of cities are more accepted, but every value is a readable value. Every value is a readable value. Why? Because cities are the categorical data. So if you are working on a bar chart, it is always recommended how bar chart condition works. There is some y-axis first. First y-axis comes. Why? Because in case of bar chart, y-axis is the primary component. Then x-axis will come into picture. And then there is one more column which is called as legend. We will see this one more column, legend. What do you mean by legend? I'll explain this. But in case of bar chart, if I take one categorical value in y-axis and if I take one numerical value in x-axis, only then this chart is readable. If I go and take one numerical value in y-axis and the same one numerical value in x-axis, the chart is not that understandable. If I take both the numerical values, if I'm taking quantity here, what is it? For each quantity, what is the number of sales? But do you think this is useful? What do you mean by quantity? Quantity 10. For what? It is just a quantity 10. It is just a quantity 9. This is no useful. I mean, this chart is not giving you some highlight. This chart is not describing you what it is trying to explain. So if you take both the numerical values in x and y axis in case of bar chart, this is of no use. Now, if I remove this and if I take any categorical data, any string data, even for region, this is giving you the right output. This is giving you some insights. For each and every region, this is what the total sales is. So always a categorical value is recommended in y-axis and always a numerical value is recommended in x-axis. Now let's see vice versa. We will see. We have seen both numerical. Let's see both categorical values in x and y-axis. I'll see both categorical values. In case of x-axis also, I'll use both category. Let me come down. Now, the region is always a string, a categorical value. In case of x-axis, I'll take something categorical again. Probably I'll take subcategory. Now, what is this? See, if you see, even though I have taken subcategory here, it is taking it as count of subcategory. Subcategory is a categorical data. It's a string data. Even though I am taking a string data, x-axis is taking it as count of subcategory. That means it is still taking as a numerical data. It is still taking it as a numerical data. Now, let me take one more categorical value. We have region here. If I take category here, or probably city here, see, it is taking count of cities. Let's not focus on the values. Values will remain same. If I take any categorical data here, even if I take segment, see, 3.20 is common for West, but it is taking it as count of segment. How many segments are available? Not how many segments, not, it is only taking count. If I take distinct count, you can see the number has drastically reduced. Distinct count means distinct segments which are available. So whatever condition you take in x-axis, it will take it as a numerical data only. So in case if you're trying to take any categorical data in x-axis, it will still be a numerical data. I might have taken categorical data, but this will act like one numerical data, but this is not fit. This condition is not fit. This condition is not fit. Even this condition is not fit because both numerical conditions is also not giving you the desired output. But if I only take one category in y-axis and one numeric in x-axis, only in that case, this is best fit. This is best fit condition. Now, we have seen only x-axis and y-axis. Let's focus on legend. What do you mean by legend? I'll go back. I'll take the correct conditions here. Region is category in y-axis, and I'll take profit. Profit by each region. Now, let me change the title also so that it is easier to understand. Profit by region. This is what the title is. So you can change your title in formatting of your visual. Go to General tab, and there is an option called as title. Now, let me come back to the normal visualization pane here, the first condition. There is an option called as legend. For now, let's not focus on small multiples and tooltips. We would be covering these two concepts once you get a good understanding of all the visuals. At the end, these two conditions are easy to understand. Our primary focus would be x-axis, y-axis, and a legend. Now, what does this legend signify? In this region, I want to find sum of profit by each segment. By each segment for every region. Now, I'll take a segment, I'll post this segment, I'll drag and drop this segment in the legend. See, if you see, I have dragged and dropped a segment. What segment is trying to do? It is trying to partition each and every bar by segment related profit. For West region, this is blue color is consumer segment profit. Dark blue is corporate segment profit, and home office is home office. That I mean, this is the home office segment for West region. For y-axis, we have a categorical data. For legend also, we are taking a categorical data. Categorical means a string value here. So whenever you take any string value in case of legend, it will partition that specific bar. It is trying to partition that data within that specific bar. So if I remove this is normal stacked bar chart. This is partitioned stacked bar chart. The visual name is same. It is still the stacked bar chart. But if I remove legend, it is normal stacked bar chart. But if I add any specific categorical data to a legend, it is partitioned stacked bar chart. Why? Because the information is partitioned in the multiple bars. For West bar, information is partitioned. For East bar also, three different segments are partitioned. So how many segments are present? That many number of partitions it will create. Now, this is with respect to segment. If I take something different. Probably I'll take category here. So there are three different categories and it is trying to partition that three different categories. Now, if I focus on this chart, if you focus on this, now for every chart, there are three icons available here at the top. Now, what do you mean by these three icons? If I click on more options, there are a few options here. You can export the data. Now, if I want to export, only whatever data is being shown in this chart, you can export it. So these options are slightly different. We'll discuss one above the other. But there is, if you click on this middle icon, there is an icon like rectangular shape, and there is an arrow to this. If I click on this, it is opening this specific visual in the focus mode, in the zoom mode. If you want to go back, you can go back. For every visual, if I hover on this visual, also see there is an option called as focus mode. If I click on this, this will open it in the focus mode. Focus means it is zooming in. You can zoom in and check the information. Let me go back again. Let's focus on this. See, for this chart, there is this central region where one of the bar is coming towards left. That means towards back of zero. Here, sum of profit is 0K. That means profit is 0. This bar is coming towards negative side. Why? Because central region furniture has negative profit. That means there is a loss of 2,871.05. That is the reason it is coming back of zero, left of zero, whereas everything was coming towards right. So in case of profit, it can be negative because negative profit means it's a loss. Usually there is no component called as loss. Negative profit means it's a loss. So within one profit column, you can fit both profit and loss conditions. Now you can see every partition is created. There are three different partitions for category. Now, one categorical data, one numerical data, and legend should be also one categorical data. Only then this is the best fit chart. Now let's take an example of all three numerical conditions. We have seen one numeric in X and Y axis both. But if I take the numeric condition in legend also, how does it look like? I'll remove this category. Let me add, this is sum of profit. But if I add something like discount. Okay, the chart is readable. I'm not saying chart is not readable, but what it is trying to convey, let me go back to the focus mode. What it is trying to convey, by each number of discounts available, it is trying to partition that specific bar. The chart is readable, but the information is not understandable. In case of Power BI, readability also plays an important role. But if you are able to read it, what it is trying to convey, whether that chart is trying to give you some insights or not, even that is considered. Only readability is not a factor. You should also understand whether that information is trying to convey you certain output, whether it is certainly trying to convey certain business information. It is not conveying any business information. So in case of legend, if you take numerical data, this is not fit. It is always recommended to have a categorical data. Whereas the below condition, all three are categorical data. All three, I'll take categorical. X-axis is numerical here, but if I take some categorical value here, sum of segment, but here it will not take sum. Why? Because it is taking it as count. It's a numerical data. Sum of segment is also not available. X-axis, whatever value you take, it will take it as numerical data only. Now here, this is categorical data. This is categorical data. And let me take one more category here. Okay, the chart is readable. It is very interesting also. I mean, the chart is very, the color conditions are correctly done. Formatting is correctly done. But what it is trying to convey, okay, accepted y-axis will have all the region values. Legend is partitioning office supplies, furniture, and technology by category. But what you see in x-axis values is count of segment. Segment is a categorical data. If you take this categorical data also, this is taking it as count of segment. This is not understandable. Would you like to count how many segments are there? No. We know there are only 4 segments. If I make this count to distinct, this is total count. If I make this count to distinct, it is not understandable. Every value is same. You can see 0.0030. This is not recommended. So if you take any numerical data in x-axis also, this is of no use, or any categorical data. Sorry, I'm not talking about numerical. If you take any categorical data here in x-axis, it will still take it as numerical data, which is of no use. So coming down to our explanation again, if I take one categorical value in legend, this is of no use. All 3 categories not recommended, all 3 numerical not recommended. But in case of y-axis, it is one categorical data. In case of x-axis, it is one numerical data. And in case of legend also, wherever you want to create a partition, it should be always one categorical or a string value. Only then the column or the bar chart which we are using is the best fit chart. Only this condition is best fit. Now for bar chart, as I've said, y-axis is an important axis. That is the reason y-axis will come first and then x-axis will come. And then x-axis will come. Now for column chart, bar chart is from left to right. For a column chart, it is just a vice versa. X-axis will come first and y-axis will come second. I'll use the same condition here. In case of bar chart, it is just a column chart. Now this is stacked column chart or stacked bar chart. Stacked column chart. Here in case of column chart, x-axis is important first and then y-axis. Now, how does it work like? Let me take x-axis here. Let's do the same options, the same conditions we'll do. We will also see the legend in case of column chart. Let me go back. See, I'll remove this x-axis condition. I'll use a profit here. Profit by region, and it is by category as a legend or a partition. Now, whatever chart we have, this is stacked bar chart. I'll only change it to stacked column chart. That is the only change. And if you see, if I again go back to bar chart, y-axis is coming first. Why? Because this is our y-axis. This is our y-axis. This y-axis plays an important role. And then x-axis numerical data will play an important role. In case of column chart, x-axis is coming first. Why? Because x-axis should have a categorical data or a string data, and y-axis should always have a numerical data. Legend remains same. You can take any categorical value here. Legend will remain as it is. And if you compare the condition, let us do the same option. I will take the same condition here. I'll paste it. Only difference is in case of y-axis, it would be x-axis. And in case of x-axis, it would be y-axis. This is the only change. Best fit, not fit, not fit conditions will remain as it is. In x-axis, it should be always categorical. We have a categorical data. In y-axis, it should be always a numerical data. We already have a numerical data. And in legend, we should always have a categorical data. We already have a categorical value here or a string value here. This is the best fit. If I take all numerical, if I take all categorical, the 2 conditions are not fit. The information is readable, but it is not understandable. Readability is important factor accepted in Power BI, but it should also understand that information. That chart is also giving you certain output, that certain desired condition or not. That is what we want to check. If at all it is not giving you desired condition, readability is good, it is of no use. Both the conditions should be satisfied for each and every chart. And now this chart is readable, but if I compress this is also readable. I mean, the data labels are going away, but still this is readable. There isn't any problem. And for every chart, as I've said, there is an option called as format your visual. If you go down to the visual, here you will have options called as columns. In case of bar chart, you had an option called as bars. See, this is our bar chart, the above chart. I have selected the above chart. It had an option called as bars. If you want to change it to the column, I mean, if I choose a column, it will change it to the column. That is the only difference. Now, if I scroll down, what all options I have? You can change the color. I mean, if I increase the transparency, this will become lighter in shade. See, this is I mean, going down to lighter in shade. If I make it to 99, that means nothing is visible. Now, if you want a border to be added, see, there are borders for all the columns. There are boxes, kind of borders added. You want this border transparency to also increase. Border transparency would be reduced. 50% transparency you want. There is a very slight border available. Let me go to focus mode. You can see there is a border available. If I keep it off, border is gone. If I keep it on, there is slight border available. Now, if you use this match column color, that color would be gone, and whatever color, whatever partition it is taking, with that partition, it will take that border. And if you want to increase the border also, you can see I can increase the border as well. But here, if let me make this off, see, the border is increasing now. Let me come down. The border is increasing. Now you always have a flexibility. If you want a border, you can add a border to it. Here in focus mode, it might look very shabby. But if I come down and the width of the border, I'll keep it to 5. Okay, maybe 4 or 5. This is good. I mean, this is readable and this is also easy to understand. So if you want a border, you can add a border also. And there is one more component, hide inner borders. It will only have outer borders. The outer box borders, inner borders are not visible. So for every visual, there is a different formatting options available. And these formatting options will never remain same. Now today is 13th of June. Probably we will have these many options. If I again come back, maybe after 1 month or maybe after 2 months, there would be some new updates also. Or some of the updates would be gone. Some new updates will come, some old updates will go away. So this is how Power BI frequently changes. It is changing on every month basis. So coming down to the stacked column chart and stacked bar chart, only difference is which axis is coming first and which axis is coming second. And in these axis values, what kind of data is best fit. In case of X and Y, it should be always categorical, numerical, depending on what kind of chart you're using. And legend should be always a categorical value. If you take any other value in legend, this will not give you the proper result. Now, this is just an explanation related to stacked bar chart and stacked column chart. That means stacked partition bar chart or stacked partition column chart also. Wherever you add a legend, that bar chart or column chart would be partitioned. The name remains same, only partition comes into picture. Now, let us take this chart aside. I'll take a copy of this. I'll paste it here. See, there is a chart called as clustered bar chart. Now, what do you mean by clustered bar chart? I'll only change it to clustered bar chart. This is column chart. Let me change back to the bar chart. And this is how the bar chart should look like. But I'll change it to clustered bar chart. Now, what do you mean by clustered bar chart? Let me take it to focus mode. Or I'll go back. I'll go back to the bars. Let me come down. I'll off this border. Now this looks good. Color is also not recommended. See, in case of clustered bar chart, the information is clustered together in one single. This is also a box. Whatever condition we have taken here, this is also a box. Now here, this complete segment is also a box. Up till here, this complete segment is also one complete box. But the information is clustered rather than partitioning in the same bar. It has created multiple bars, which looks like a cluster. Now, what do you mean by cluster? What is the meaning of cluster? Cluster means multiple things clubbed together, a group of similar things positioned together, closely coupled together. So that is what it is called. Cluster means multiple bars are kind of combined together. So there are multiple bars, they are combined together. This is one cluster, this is second cluster, this is third cluster, and this is fourth cluster. The information is partitioning here, but it is trying to create a clusters rather than creating a partition. It is trying to create a cluster where multiple partitions are there. That is the only difference between stacked bar chart and clustered bar chart. Here in stacked bar chart, within the same bar, the information is getting partitioned. Whereas in case of clustered bar chart, the information is getting clustered in multiple bars clubbed together. For West region, there are three different legends. That means three different categories. One is furniture, one is office supplies, and one is technology. They are clustered together. They are combined together in one single cluster. So for every region, different clusters are created. This is called as clustered bar chart. It is same in clustered column chart. You can see the information is clustered. This is one cluster, this is second cluster, the south is third cluster, and central is the fourth cluster. Conditions remain same. Whatever conditions we have discussed for bar chart, the same conditions will be used. Legend, y-axis and x-axis will remain same. Only difference is the stacked bar chart is trying to create a partition, whereas clustered column chart will try to create a cluster. That means multiple partitions are clubbed together in a single cluster. Rather than in a same bar, they are clubbed together as separate bars in one single cluster. Clustered bar chart, this is the only difference. Y-axis, x-axis, legend values will remain as it is. Now the question comes, where to use what kind of chart? Whether I should go with this chart. Let me off the data, not the data labels, column labels, columns, borders. See, if you compare both the charts, both the charts are same. 12K for furniture West region, 12K for furniture West region, 53K office supplies, 53K office supplies. It is not 53, somewhere 52. So if you want the accurate values, go down to, in case of column chart, it should be y-axis. Y-axis, values, scroll down. How should value look like? None. None means complete values mentioned. Again, same condition goes here. Rather than 1000, I'll keep it to none. So complete values are mentioned. Let me go above. Now you can see both the charts are similar. Now the question comes, where to use what kind of chart? See, if I compress this, if I'm trying to compress this, somewhere the readability is going. The chart looks good, but readability is not that good. But if I make it big, make it big. Okay, somewhere now this is good, maybe understandable. Okay, wherever the partitions are very small, there if you can hover on that, if you take your mouse, if you take your cursor over there, it will give you the tooltip value, it will give you some idea. This is good. But if I take this clustered, let me compress. The same size I'm trying to create, the same size. See, which chart is more readable? Either is it the stacked column chart or either is it clustered column chart? First or second?
Cluster.
Clustered column chart.
That is where the readability comes into picture. If you want your chart to be very compressed, go with clustered column chart, because just because it is creating multiple partitions, that is one single cluster where multiple partitions are there, there the information is crystal clear. If I again compress it, see, I'm compressing it very small, still this is readable. But if I compress the same chart with the same size, this chart is not that readable. So wherever readability of a chart is going away, and here if you see, the values are, I mean, touching up to 1 lakh. Why? Because within that same column, it is trying to combine multiple values. Here in cluster, It is taking every bar as an individual bar. That is the reason it is taking only up to 50,000. 50, more than 50,000, there is only one value. For office supplies, West region, it is going up to 52,610. No other value is touching more than 50,000. So y-axis is also drastically helping us here to, if I compress this, it is also readable. And I'm not saying stacked bar chart, stacked column chart are not readable. Wherever you feel the information is very small, there you should use the best fit chart. Here in this comparison, clustered column chart is easy to understand. Readability is good. Now, any questions on this?
Hi, Ritesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you where readability is more important and completion, we need to do a lot. We need to go with the cluster, right? But how is there any way to know when to use bar chart or when to use column chart?
No, that is what I'm trying to explain. Bar chart is not readable at certain conditions. If I remove this category, this is readable. The legend is not there, this is readable. Okay, if there is a legend with only two partitions, in that case, bar chart would have been, sorry, the clustered, the stacked column chart would have been readable. It is up to the information which you're working on. If client doesn't like this clustered column chart, he only wants clustered, stacked column chart, there is no option. You have to create a stacked column chart. Okay, if client gives you a flexibility that whatever chart is best fit, you go with that chart. In that case, you have to go with clustered here. Here means the comparison which I'm trying to view with the data set which I have. If there are only two partitions, even this chart would have been readable. But if there are three partitions, that is the reason it is creating multiple partitions within that same column, and it is trying to, it is going and losing its readability. Now, if I make this chart like this, and let me take some other partition here, segment. This is readable. This is readable. I'm compressing it. This is still readable. There is no problem in this. But in order to understand each and every value, this is more readable. The clustered column chart is more readable as compared to stacked column chart. And I'm not saying, that is what I'm trying to say. Depending on your data, you have to vary your charts. Stacked and clustered will always vary depending on data. There is no specific use case for that. If the client doesn't like this cluster, you have to always go with this option. And I have seen, if you're working in real time, there are some clients which doesn't like certain charts. Even though it is more readable, even though it is more intact, even though that chart is still understandable, client thinks that this chart is not that great for me. Can you give me some other option? In that case, you have to go with normal stacked bar chart or stacked column chart. Now this is readable. Probably if I compress it more, if I compress it more. See, if you want your chart to be like this, kind of square-like format, then if you have a limited space and you have a square-like format space, then the stacked column chart or stacked bar chart, if I make it to stacked bar chart, even this is readable. If I make to stacked column chart, even this is readable. But if I am using a clustered chart, in case of clustered, it is more a kind of rectangular information, not a square. This is a rectangular information. Okay, if I make it to square also, this is well and good. But this is, the number of the bars are very high. Even if I compress this, this is understandable. So depending on the space, you're working on a report, and if there is a limited space, maybe a square-like space is available, there you can use a stacked column chart. If there is a rectangular space available, there you can use a clustered column chart. And if client doesn't like either of the chart, you have to go with some other chart. Other chart means if client doesn't like this chart, stacked column chart, either you can go with clustered column chart. If client doesn't like clustered column chart, go with stacked column chart or else bar chart. Even bar chart is same. For this, if I take a bar chart, this is our bar chart will look like. And there is a scroller. Why? Because there are 4 regions. If I scroll down, there would be the 4th region of central. But here, see, here this readability is not that great. For this chart, if it's a column chart, it's okay. It is readable. But if I change it to bar chart, readability is not that good. I should make it something big, probably like this. Now it is more readable. So understanding information as well as readability, both factors should be considered. If only one of them is there, if the data is understanding, but readability is not that good, no use. If data is readable, but the data is not understandable, even that is not recommended. Both should be satisfied for any visual if you're working in Power BI. Now,
Yeah, I'm having one doubt.
go ahead.
Yeah, Azure Data Factory and Power BI both are related to the data which we are going to drag and create the visualization, right?
No, no, no,
So,
no.
what is the key
Data
role
factory
played
is
by?
different. Data factory
Okay,
is a ETL tool. It's not a reporting tool.
okay, okay,
It is nowhere
okay.
reporting. Data factory is totally ETL tool. ETL means you're loading data from a certain source. Now, in simplified manner, if I want to explain about data factory, anyways, we are now Power BI, but you had a question related to data factory. Let me clear the doubt. What exactly data factory is? Now, let's take our real-time example. You have a product which is getting manufactured, whatever product. Let's take an example of our day-to-day life components which we are using, day-to-day life things which we are using. Might be you take an example of soap or any product, any household product. This product is getting manufactured in a factory, right? Now, factory is one source. From this source, the destination is ideally if a person is trying to manufacture a soap, for what reason he's trying to manufacture? To sell it to an individual, to sell it to a person or a individual who can buy this and who can utilize that soap for certain purpose, right? Now, how whether this person will visit a factory, he'll never visit a factory directly. He'll never visit any person. Okay, if he owns a factory, okay, he can directly go and visit that specific factory. But the thing is, if you want to purchase this soap, you usually visit a shop. Now, once this once the product is manufactured at a factory, this soap goes to certain process. How it goes? There is a wholesaler here or a dealer who will purchase bulk soaps and who will sell it to the shopkeeper, who is a retailer here. Shopkeeper is a retailer, right? This goes to certain process from factory to wholesaler, from wholesaler to shopkeeper, from shopkeeper an individual will purchase. So person is a destination here, factory is a source, and from source to destination, there are two between conditions. This condition is one logic. This condition is one logic. Logic means wholesaler is going to the factory. He is maintaining a good record with the factory. He'll purchase bulk soaps with certain rate. Now wholesaler, shopkeeper will come down to wholesaler. He will purchase. Now wholesaler goes to factory. Shopkeeper comes to wholesaler. Shopkeeper gives a certain rate to him. He'll discuss whatever is the best feasible revenue or best feasible amount which he can give it to that certain soaps. So from factory, if there are 1 lakh soaps manufactured, wholesaler will purchase 10,000, and from this wholesaler, shopkeeper will purchase 1,000, and from the shopkeeper, it will sell it to the person. Maybe 1,000 people will come down to the shopkeeper and purchase. So in between source and destination, there are two different logics which are derived. So these logics are called as transformation logics. Logic means you're transforming something from factory to destination. That means from factory to person, you are transforming the soap. This is transformation. From where you are transforming the information from factory. How you are transforming? You are extracting that information. You are extracting that information. Extraction. And once your extraction is done, once your transformation is done, in between, you load that information. That means you dump that information to a certain destination, or you are selling this soap to a certain person. So this is extraction. Extraction means extracting information from a source. Transformation means writing logic between source and destination. And loading means loading that whatever final data which you transform at the end to certain destination is called as loading. ETL, extract, transform, load. This is your complete ADF architecture. This is how ADF flows.
Okay, thank you.
Now coming back to your Power BI. We have discussed only 4 charts. Let me copy this. One is stacked bar chart, clustered bar chart. This is stacked column chart. I'll copy the same condition. I'll only change this. Everything remains same. Clustered column chart. Now there are the other 2 charts which are left out in the first row, which is 100% stacked bar chart and 100% stacked column chart. Now, in order to understand this, let me give you an explanation. Let's take the example of yesterday's match, the India-USA match, T20. Now, yesterday, Rohit and Kohli have used his name, Virat. Both of them got out early. So what Virat scored, I guess it's 0. And what Rohit scored? What was the score of Rohit yesterday? Was it 3 or was it 4?
3
Yeah?
3 3
6.
3 3
3. Okay. Now, prior to this match, there were multiple other matches. There might be these people have scored more. But if you see the contribution for yesterday's match, overall contribution individually is low. But if you take Surya Kumar Yadav, he might have scored 50. So his individual contribution is more. Overall, India team have won. Overall contribution is India team have won against USA. But if you see the individual contribution, for Rohit it is low, for Virat it is low in yesterday's match, whereas for Surya it is high. Even for Shivam Dubey, he might have scored around 30 plus or 35 around something. So if you see the individual contributions are low for first 2 players, whereas for the third and fourth, individual contribution is high. But overall, if you check, India have won match against USA. Overall contribution is totally high. But for individual contribution, somewhere the first 2 players are lagging in case of yesterday's match. Now, if you take that same example into real-time consideration, now who is the coach? Rahul Dravid is the coach. And Rahul Dravid is the coach. If you see, if you compare the analysis of Rahul Dravid, he has led us to WTC final, World Test Championship final. He has also led us to the ODI World Cup final. And probably in T20 also, assuming that we would be around semi-finals. So if you see the overall contribution for Rahul Dravid, it's looking good. But for individual, if you go back, for any other coach you're trying to compare, earlier it was Ravi Shastri. So even if you want to compare, how this comparison would be done? Comparison would be done at the individual level also, and comparison would be done at the overall aggregate level as well. Now, what aggregate and or individual level means, if I take a specific example, let's take an example of any uh, might be your sporting coach only. Just let's take an example of sporting coach. So if a sporting coach is trying to train 100 students, sporting coach A is trying to train 100 students. Out of this 100 students, 50 students have been selected for national level importance, so national level games. So his percentage would be 50 divided by 100, which is around 50%. Now, this is for a certain academy. Now, there is one more coach, sporting coach B. Now, this B coach is trying to train 200 students or 200 individuals, out of which 70 individuals have been selected for national level. Okay, number of selection is more as compared to coach A. But if you see the overall aspect, 70 divided by 200, what would be the value? What would be the value? 70 divided by 200.
35, 35%.
35%. Overall selection is high, but individual level performance is low. Why? Because sporting coach B had was training around 200 individuals, out of which 70 selected. Whereas sporting coach A, 100 he has only trained, 50% of them got selected. 50. But let me take one more example. Sporting coach C. So this person was training 250 individuals. Out of 250, 125, or probably that's more. Let's take 120 individuals selected for national level. Now, what is the percentage here? 120 divided by 250 equal to
48% approximately.
48%. Individual performance of a coach is decreasing. Why? Because number of students trained or number of individuals trained are more. But number of selection is more as compared to coach A. Coach A only had 50 selection, coach B had 70, coach C had 120 selection. This condition is also correct. If you want to check the overall aspect for coach A, overall contribution, to the academy, how would you calculate overall contribution? 50 of them got selected. You should divide by 100 plus 200 plus 250. It would be around 550. 50 divided by 550. What would be the value here? 550 is our total. Some 9%. 9%.
9.99%.
9.99 or 9.09? Something like
09.
9.09
Yeah.
it seems.
Yeah.
Now for sporting coach B, overall, I'm trying to check overall contribution. Coach B, overall contribution. Overall contribution would be 70 divided by 550. Now, what would be the condition here? Somewhere
12.7.
12.72. This is overall contribution. Now, if I come down for sporting coach C, the same option. Let me copy this, paste it here. It would be 120 divided by 550 into 100. 21
21.8.
something 81. It's probably 8181. That means it is 82. So this is overall contribution. This is individual contribution. There is nothing much difference. Both conditions are correct. Individual contributions means how many people you have trained, out of which how many got selected. Overall means overall in that academy, how many people were there, and out of which how many under your coaching have been selected. That is overall contribution. This is individual contribution. Both the conditions are correct. Both the conditions are correct. Now, if I want to interpret that same results in Power BI, let me come down. Let me take a copy of this clustered column chart. I'll paste it here. Let me make this big. So do not focus on the below charts. Let's focus on this chart. Now, what I'll do, I'll use a stacked bar chart, 100% stacked bar chart. What is this? For West region, this is the sum of profit. Sum of profit is 100%. Out of whatever 100% profit it has made, 10% goes to furniture, 48% goes to office supplies, 40% goes to technology. For every profit, it is taking it as 100%. But what every category is contributing, this is overall 100%. What this 100% stack bar chart is doing, overall contribution it is giving. This is overall contribution. This is overall contribution. This is overall contribution. Overall contribution it is trying to give. 100% stacked bar chart or 100% stacked column chart. Overall contribution it is trying to give you. Now readability is not good in case of column chart, but in case of bar chart, this is good. For central region, for furniture, overall there is a decrease of 6.32% just because it's a loss. Whereas any other, and you see there is no 100% bar here. Why? Because it is going negative. So 100% is getting that adjusted to the negative condition here. So this is overall stacked bar chart and stacked column chart is giving you overall contribution of categories for each profit by region. Contribution of categories by each profit by region. Now, if you want the individual performance, the chart is pie chart. This is overall contribution. If I change it to pie chart, this is individual contribution. Individual contribution means complete blue color is assigned together. That is complete West region. West region, in West region, what is this? West region furniture, West region office supplies, West region technology clubbed together. This is individual performance. Okay, in individual also there are separate division which is given, but this is not overall performance. Overall performance is given by this 100% stack bar chart or 100% stack column chart. In case of individual performance, you should use a pie chart. Pie chart or donut chart. Even donut chart is also similar. In case of donut, there is a hole in between. There is a gap in between. That is the only difference. Now, where do we use this pie chart and donut chart? We'll have a separate discussion. But for our understanding, overall contribution is given by 100% stack bar chart or 100% column chart, whereas individual contribution is given by pie chart or a donut chart. This is individual contribution. Okay, the information is clustered together. That means they are combined together. But if you see for West region, all the information is combined. Whereas if you see for 100% stack bar chart, for West region, okay, for West region, all three segments, all three categories are different. But here, this is individual performance. For West region, complete individual performance is this. For East region, complete individual performance is this. For South, this. And for central, this is the last condition. This is individual performance. This is overall performance. Let's take column chart also. This is overall performance. Overall contribution. The reason to use stacked bar chart, the reason to use 100% stacked column chart or 100% stacked bar chart is wherever you want to find overall contribution, in that case, go with this. This is the only use case of the last two bar charts or stacked bar chart or stacked column chart, 100% stacked bar chart. 100% means it is trying to compare it with the 100% information which we have. Okay, silence means either you might have understood or else you might have not understood anything. But anyways, I'll again re-explain it just to give you an idea. Wherever you want to find overall contribution for every category, now category is a legend. Whatever legend you take, if I don't take any legend, everything is 100%, you can see. And without legend, you cannot use this stacked bar chart or stacked column chart. 100% stacked bar chart or 100% stacked column chart. You can use this. You can use this chart. Normal stacked bar chart or normal stacked line chart. This is understandable without any legend. This is giving you some output. But if I use this 100%, if I use this 100%, this is of no use unless there is a legend present. You should always use a legend in case of 100% stacked bar or 100% stacked column. Whatever legend you're using, depending on that legend, it will try to create a percentage partition. That means contribution partition. Category I've taken. See, if I take city, city can also be taken in legend, but number of cities are more. Chart is not readable, and for the chart, whichever the information is not correctly updated. If I make this in focus mode, see, information is very, I mean, it's very clustered here. Everything is clubbed together, not able to understand what it is. See, here number of cities are more. There are around 50 cities, it seems. So that is the reason there are 50 partitions in the same bar. And wherever the information is getting beyond a limit, for every chart, there would be a new icon highlighted at the above, too many values. Power BI itself is understanding that there are too many values. That is the reason it is giving you a notification that too many values not showing all the data. But if I remove this city, that option is gone. Wherever I take a legend with less number of partitions, if I take a segment, this is good. If I take subcategory, even subcategory is also readable. Number of subcategories are 12. Even this is readable. Okay, the information is very clustered here, very combined together, but still this is readable. Number of categories, how many subcategories are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, 17. There are 17 different subcategories. I guess if the number is going beyond 20, that is the reason where that I information will come. Too many values, it cannot show all that values. So city is not recommended. Let's take some other option. Maybe if I take customer name also, even this is more. Number of customers are more. That is the reason the I icon is there. Too many values, not showing all the data. So in case of 100% stacked bar or column chart, if you are taking too many values, even in case of normal, if I take this normal also, here also, normal stacked bar chart, if the legend is having multiple partitions, number of partitions are more, the information is not readable. Information is correct. It is giving you insights. But if the information is not readable, the usefulness of chart is not recommended. There is no usefulness of this chart or no usefulness of this visual. Number of partitions should be less. It should be visible. It should be understandable. But if I take a product name, even for a product name, this is not recommended because number of products are more. So wherever the partitions are less, only in that case, legend will give you the right output. And in case of 100% charts, you should always have a legend. Unless then it is of no use. If I take category, it is giving you some input. If I take segment, it is giving you some input. If I take shipment mode, it will give you some input. There are 4 different shipment modes. Any questions on this again? And all these charts are similar. The only difference is first one is normal stacked bar chart, last two are 100%. It will give you contribution. First two will not calculate the contribution, it will calculate the values. It is calculating contribution, last two, first two are calculating values. Whereas between two, if above the first two charts, stacked bar or column chart, where they're losing the readability, in this case, you can go with clustered, where the information is clustered in one single cluster. Multiple bars are there. One single cluster is called as multiple bars. I mean, that bars together combine to form a one single cluster. Any questions on the concepts or topics which we covered? See, I would be covering the individual performance related to pie chart and donut chart separately. But just to give you an idea how overall contribution and individual contribution changes with these two charts, it is easy to understand. This is individual contribution. This is overall contribution. And in individual contribution also, you can see the information is partitioned. Complete blue is one partition, that means individual component. But in that also, the information is partitioned by each. We have a each detail. Detail is here in case of pie chart, there is no legend. There is a detail option. Detail means your shipment mode. If I remove this, this is your individual contribution. If I remove the legend, this is individual contribution. But if I take a legend and 100% stack bar chart, in that case, this is overall contribution. People will have a question that I've given you this. If I'm giving you this, why come blue is also having multiple partitions? See, details is not recommended, only then it will give you individual contribution. Individual 37%, individual 30%, individual 16%. That is how it works. Whereas this is 100%, which is giving you overall percentage. Okay, cool. If there are no questions, let's connect back tomorrow. Would be our final free session. Any questions you have, you can recollect your questions. You can ask me in tomorrow's session. I would be able to answer there. Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good day. Let's connect back tomorrow.